I'm Evelyn Peck, and I'm a past president of the Federated Women's Institutes of Ontario. And I was the provincial president when we moved the office from Guelph to the Lee and reopened the Erland Lee Museum. I became president-elect in 2012, and the Lee was closed at that time. And I was, as president-elect, was on a committee to try to find a way to reopen the Lee. I know I was elected in January of 2012, and then informed that the next week I had a committee meeting at the Erland Lee. I didn't know that was part of the president-elect, but I managed. I mean, I didn't even know. I'd never driven myself to the Lee, and I remember Marion Austin invited me to come up. So the meeting was on a Monday because I drove up on a Sunday evening and stayed overnight with Marion, and then followed her in my car. And our first meeting was in Glanbrook because the Lee was not open. I had the honor of cutting the ribbon and the cake too. Yeah. And I know I also have a picture of when we moved the office from Guelph to the Lee. Each of the board members took several of the provincial Tweedsmuir books in, their car, and we moved them from Guelph to the Lee and took a picture of us each holding a Tweedsmuir history book. I don't know. I guess just getting it opened again. I guess I remember when it was closed, I was concerned enough that I wrote a letter to the committee that was looking at trying to do something about it, saying about my concerns, and I got a reply back for asking if they could use it to read to the board about my concerns. Yeah. and that's sort of I think got me thinking about somebody had to run for president-elect that was interested in the viability of the Erland Lee Museum and liked history enough that wanted it opened. Well, I know the opening day and the raising of the flags, those were special times. But one that's not so special but sticks in my memory is when we were getting ready to open the Lee and we had to get it cleaned up to open. And I think I mentioned that before in my little blurb to you, that the bathroom block, everything had been closed, but the bathroom block had been broken into. And so to reopen the Lee, we knew we had to clean it up. And I guess, can't expect someone else to do it if you're not willing to do it yourself. So Marion and Austin and I, we got cleaning supplies and we took on the task of cleaning the bathroom block. And I grew up on a farm, a dairy farm. So I had, and I have a big garden still. I have rubber boots and rubber gloves, and I arrived in old clothes, and we swept it out, and then we hosed it out. It wasn't a nice job, but and because I live in Eastern Ontario, and so I'm not known to most of the Lee committee members, or wasn't known. I remember there in my old clothes cleaning the bathroom block, and one lady saying, "They tell me you're the president-elect." And I guess that has always stuck in my memory. It was at the Lee where the first constitution of the Federated Women's Institutes of Ontario was written on the table, the dining room table that's still there. And the house itself is a beautiful example of the architecture of the early years of Canada and Ontario. And I just, I really believe in Women's Institute, and I like preserving history, and so the Erland Lee Museum, I think, is just an excellent choice of a place to be preserved, where we can point out the historical significance of the Lee. That reminds me of another thing that later, when we had reopened the Lee, I know we were sitting around some of the executive of FWIO with our computers on the table, and talking about how different it was that here we were with computers, and the original Constitution was written, handwritten, and we were at the same table. The first meeting that we had at the Lee, I had no idea how to get back to the highway. and I can remember Barbara Stones and Margaret Vile, they were on the committee too. And Barbara was driving, I think, and she said, "You just follow me and we'll get through Stony Creek. And then when we get to the QEW, we're going to turn off first. You're going to go over the highway and then take the turn for Toronto." And I did. I mean, after a while, it got so automatic, but that first time, I didn't have any idea. There were a lot of meetings in the winter time, and one time when we finished our meeting, it was snowing, and I always debated whether I would take the toll road when I got, near St. Catharines, I think it was, wherever it starts, and I remember that night I thought, I'm taking the toll road, but it took me something like 5.5 hours to get home. The 401 from Toronto to my home was going about 40 clicks an hour, and you couldn't get out of the lane you were in. You just had to stay in whichever lane you were and going along. And I usually stopped in Port Hope just for a break, a bathroom break, maybe something to eat or drink. and I was counting on that. And when I got near, the traffic was so lined up, like the off route lane, we're plugged. I thought, if I get off, I never get back on. I mean, I love it to stay open, and everything kept, in good condition, and hopefully some of the newer buildings or parts could be modernized to make it even better for the office staff to meet there, and beautiful location, like the scenic view from the Lee is just wonderful. Yeah. When you look out over Stony Creek and the lake, it's a beautiful location. I just wish everybody had the chance to see, to experience the Lee. And the video tour is wonderful, and I know I've shown it to some of my branch members here, but yeah, I just wish that everybody took the opportunity to visit and appreciate it, and hopefully after this COVID is over, that we can get together more often. And I'm hoping that I can get up to Hamilton and Stony Creek in June for the celebration.